Welcome to Get Her Cycling, Riding Together, a podcast about how riding a bike can transform more than just your fitness. It can build confidence, connection, and a stronger sense of self. I'm Charlene. This series is a space for women to explore how cycling can support mental health, social connection, and a community leadership. Even if you've never ridden before or haven't been on a bike in decades. Each episode will share stories, skills, and simple ideas to help you ride more often, ride safely, and ride with others. No pressure, no judgment, just encouragement to start where you are. And when you're ready to ride in real life, we'd love you to join us at Advantageous, where we run inclusive cycling programs, group rides, and workshops for women just like you. So grab your headphones and let's ride together. Hi, and welcome back to Get Her Cycling, Riding Together. I'm Charlene, and today's episode is a special one, fresh off the Western Sydney Moving Symposium. I'm still buzzing with energy, and to be honest, a little emotional. This isn't just about cycling, it's about showing up, sharing the ride, and realising just how powerful our work can be when it moves beyond plans and into real life. We began the day not in cars, but on bikes. A community commute from Emu Plains to Penrith. The sun was out, jacarandas blooming, and what struck me was the conversations. What was special about this commute with the conversation that was going on? The people who turned up hadn't been on a bike for quite a few weeks or months, and it was the conversation around having to dust off the bike and think through what they needed to be able to turn up for the day. One person actually commented that they realised that their bike was in storage, so they had to change their arrangements for the day. And I love the commitment that they actually turned up. Throughout the ride, along the way, crossing the intersections, we were talking about how easy it was to actually just get moving. Apart from all the birds, the trees, everything that we could see around us, it was the fresh air, the early morning, the birds were out, the noise around us was more inviting. It wasn't just the traffic beside us that we could hear. So taking that moment that we actually paused over the bridge of the Nepean River and being able to take in the scenery, the jacarandas, and sharing each other's experiences of what we were feeling right in that moment. And a bit of an excitement that we had turned up. We had ignored the fact that it was possibly going to rain that day. We'd forgotten about all the things that we packed just in case it did rain. And we were ready to show up at this event and show people how easy it was to get on the bikes and get there. By the time we arrived, I was preparing to speak to a room full of people. And yes, I felt nervous, but something about leading the ride reminded me of who I am. I had prepared myself for this moment to present in front of so many people with the thought of getting on that bike. I know that that's physical energy that I can exert easily enough, and it's accidental. I love being able to ride to work and clear my head of all of the things that are going to possibly go on for the day. So being up on stage, I'd already exercised those nervous energies and was, I guess, in a grounded space. I was ready to accept that there were so many faces looking back at me, but I had a very passionate, strong message to be able to share with them. And accepting that how I was right there in that moment, that's how some people feel when they get back on the bike. So being myself helps me also be able to get that message across. So the message that I was trying to share with the audience for the day, it wasn't just about the programs that we're running, and there's quite a few of those programs, but it was the right audience to be able to share those lived experiences. So it's more about the built environment around us, that having access to the infrastructure, the shared paths, how we feel safe when we're riding. A lot of the women that I ride with don't want to be riding out on the roads. They want that safety barrier between them and the vehicles. So the audience and the timing was right to be able to share those programs and the impact that those programs are actually having on the community. And I guess if you're not there, you don't see it. And for the participants in the promotional materials and I guess the policy and the planning, if they don't see themselves in that planning, then they're not going to ride. So it was really important to share that experience, those stories around the built environment and the impact that that can have on our healthy lifestyles. Sharing my story, I didn't expect the emotions to rise up, but they did. People came out after and said, I had no idea you were doing all of this. That moment, it was a validation. It reminded me why we ride. The validation in that moment for me was the conversations that led afterwards. It was people coming up and being reminded that they once used to ride their bike for transport, and maybe it was time for them to get back onto the bike and give it a go again. I love the opportunity to have the conversations even with those who were on the ride. It's like, why aren't I doing this more often? Once you get past those fears and those obstacles of what if it does rain, being prepared makes it so much easier for you to then take that journey. So those conversations on the ride, the conversations after I spoke, it's a great reminder for me why it's so important to have these conversations and to share these stories of lived experience with our audience. A few people told me how her cycling connections helped them or their daughters feel empowered. And that ripple, it keeps going. One of the buzzwords from yesterday's discussions was the ripple effect. And there was a big discussion around how do you measure the impact from those ripple effects? And I want to keep on having those conversations because the ripple effect, even for myself and my work that I do, I can remember back in the early days, it was school mums and teaching them how to ride so that they could ride with their children to school. And the conversations that stirred up, that when we first started the riding program within the closed environment of the school, and having to move out into the environment onto a shared path, all of a sudden, what they had learnt in the school ground had been not forgotten. It was overwhelmed with emotions because they just realised they were stepping out into a bigger, wider world. And all of a sudden, some new challenges they were being faced with. So to be able to ride out of a school gate, across a road, onto another shared path, and then find your way into the community, that was quite confronting. But once we got to our destination, which happened to be a community garden, this was a multicultural group of, quite diverse group of ladies. And all of a sudden, I could see that they were having these conversations over plants. I use this plant for this salad. I use this plant for this drink. And they were starting to, they had something in common that they could actually share. So being able to have those conversations and appreciate, I guess, the bigger picture of what that program gave to the community, and then encouraging me to explore further, how do we create a program and scale this up and allow more people to have these experiences. So the ripple effect is from what I do with the community and build from that. These programs that I have developed are all community-led. There has been a community need or a purpose behind it. So I would like to be able to take all those experiences, continue the programs, but continue the conversation with our town planners, our policy makers who are helping with the infrastructure and the behaviour change. We need to be able to have these conversations to be able to continue that ripple effect. It can be years. So be patient. It can be years. And that's what I discovered yesterday at the symposium, to have someone come up and go, hey, I remember you teaching my daughter. How long ago was that? It was 10 years ago. So take your time, plan it out, keep having conversations, keep making mistakes, because that's what we learn from, and allow those ripple effects to slowly go out into the community. I've mentioned a few times about our programs, and let's highlight two of my favourite. The Her Cycling Connections program, which is what this podcast is all about. And I love being able to create the opportunities for the women to learn to ride, and once they've got those basic skills, to be able to join some of our riding programs. So we make sure that you've got those defensive riding and hazard awareness before we actually get you ready to ride with the group. Those programs then allow you to participate in our weekly social rides, our meetups, which are all about the social connection, having a cup of coffee, sharing any of your troubles or your celebrations. This week it seems to be that grandchildren are the hot topic, as some of the ladies are starting to become new grandparents. And the other program that I've enjoyed delivering over the years is our Riding for Positive Mental Health program. So a previous episode, we talked about the importance about those social connections and health and well-being. The Riding for Positive Mental Health program is a 12-week program where we do an hour of fitness, go riding for a bike, and also bring in a bit of the mental health education. And I've partnered with Beyond Stoppable Foundation to be able to deliver that program. So we do that once a year, but once people have participated in those programs and get the benefits out of it, we find that they keep on riding with us, and they love bringing the next rider into this journey with us. So that's a wrap on today's episode. A story of riding the ride, not just planning it. Here's something to reflect on this week. When was the last time you did something with heart, even if it scared you a little? Whether it's getting back on the bike or standing up to speak, courage isn't about being fearless. It's about showing up anyway and letting the ride shape you. If today's story resonated, we'd love to hear from you. Share it, tag us, or visit our website. And if you're ready to ride in real life, come join us at Advantageous. We run inclusive rides and workshops for women just like you. All the links are in the description. Until next time, keep showing up, keep pedaling forward, and ride your way.